The rivalry between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. has transcended the boxing ring, spilling into a public feud that has captivated fans, analysts, and fellow fighters. It all began when Crawford, the first male boxer to claim undisputed titles in 2 weight divisions, appeared on the 4 Pound Pound podcast hosted by Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo. There, he dropped a bombshell. He doesn't believe Spence, his former opponent, has the credentials to earn a spot in the Boxing Hall of Fame. The statement reverberated through the boxing world, sparking intense reactions and fueling a contentious exchange between the 2 welterweight stars. Crawford's remarks weren't a fleeting jab but a deliberate dissection of Spence's career. He emphasized that Spence has competed solely in the welterweight division and, despite unifying the IBF, WBC, and WBA titles, never reached undisputed status. Crawford juxtaposed this with his own achievements, undisputed championships at both 140 and 147 pounds, a rare distinction in boxing history. In his view, Spence's record, though notable, doesn't meet the lofty standard required for Hall of Fame induction. "I honestly don't know if he makes it to the Hall of Fame with the accolades that he didn't get right now," Crawford stated, standing firm on his position. The response was swift and fierce. Social media lit up with fans and pundits leaping to Spence's defense, asserting that his accomplishments, unifying 3 belts, taking on elite competition, and overcoming significant personal challenges, more than warrant Hall of Fame consideration. Even Shakur Stevenson, a WBC lightweight champion and one of Crawford's closest allies, broke ranks to disagree. "I feel as though Errol had a great career," Stevenson said during an interview with Best Women's Boxing Show. "If it wasn't for Bud, he would have been undisputed. He went and got every belt one by one. I think he's a Hall of Famer." Stevenson's perspective underscored a critical argument. Spence's defeat at Crawford's hands shouldn't overshadow his prior dominance. To unpack this controversy, it's essential to examine the careers of both fighters and the backdrop of their rivalry. Spence entered the professional ranks in 2012 after a standout amateur career, excelling at the Golden Gloves and World Championships. He settled at welterweight, a division suited to his physique, and rapidly rose to prominence. In 2017, he ventured to Sheffield, England, to face Kell Brook for the IBF welterweight title. Brook was reeling from a loss to Gennady Golovkin at middleweight and an eye injury, yet he remained a respected champion on his home turf. Spence stopped him in the 11th round, seizing his first world title and setting the stage for a reign that would see him collect more belts in the years ahead. Spence's subsequent run was a gauntlet of top-tier foes. In 2019, he outboxed Mikey Garcia, a champion across multiple divisions, then narrowly bested Sean Porter in a gripping split decision later that year to claim the WBC title. In 2020, he overwhelmed Danny Garcia, and in 2022, he halted Yadenis Ugas, an Olympic bronze medalist, to secure the WBA strap. By that point, he held 3 of the 4 major welterweight titles, solidifying his place among the division's best. His record stood at 28-0, with 22 knockouts, when he stepped into the ring with Crawford. Crawford's journey, by contrast, was more varied. He began at lightweight, ascended to junior welterweight, where he became undisputed in 2017 by unifying all 4 belts, and then moved to welterweight in 2018. In the 147-pound division, he stopped every opponent he faced, building a resume that includes Jose Benavidez Jr., Amir Khan, Kell Brook, and David Avanesian. But his defining moment came on July 29, 2023, against Spence at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Crawford dismantled Spence, knocking him down 3 times, once in the 2nd round and twice in the 7th, before finishing him in the 9th. The referee halted the fight as Spence, bruised and bloodied, endured a relentless onslaught. That triumph crowned Crawford the first fully unified welterweight champion of the 4-belt era, adding Spence's IBF, WBC, and WBA titles to his WBO belt. It was a virtuoso performance, with Crawford operating from a southpaw stance, dictating the pace, and overpowering Spence with precision and force. All 3 judges scored it 79-70 in his favor entering the 9th. "It means everything because of who I took the belts from," Crawford told Showtime's Jim Gray afterward. "They said I couldn't beat these welterweights. I showed how great I am." Spence, ever the sportsman, conceded Crawford's superiority that night. "He was using his jab well, and my timing was a little bit off," he said. "He was just better tonight." He didn't attribute the loss to his punishing weight cut to make 147 pounds or the car accidents that had disrupted his career. including a 2019 crash that flung him from his Ferrari. Instead, he pledged a comeback, proposing a rematch at 154 pounds by the end of 2023. Their contract included a 30-day rematch clause, but as of April 7, 2025, no second fight has come to fruition. Crawford's case against Spence's Hall of Fame candidacy rests on several pillars. He contends that Spence's focus on a single division narrows his legacy, unlike Crawford's conquests across weight classes. He also highlights that Spence fell short of undisputed status, missing the WBO title Crawford possessed. Additionally, he diminishes some of Spence's victories, such as the Brook win, suggesting they came against compromised opposition. Yet these points don't fully capture Spence's story. His welterweight tenure was marked by consistency and excellence. The Brook victory, though against a fighter post-loss, was a bold overseas triumph against a champion who later reclaimed a title. His clashes with Porter, Garcia, and Ugas demonstrated his versatility, handling Porter's aggression, Garcia's skill, and Ugas's strength. While he didn't achieve undisputed status, he was one belt away, thwarted only by Crawford. Stevenson's words ring true: "If it wasn't for Bud, he would have been undisputed." Spence's tenacity further strengthens his argument. After the 2019 car accident, which left him with cuts and trauma, he returned to defeat Garcia. Following eye surgery for a detached retina in 2021, he stopped Ugas. Ugas himself vouched for Spence, saying, "He practically came back from death and eye surgery to become a three-time champion." That resilience, combined with his ring record, makes a compelling Hall of Fame case. Crawford clarified that his position isn't rooted in animosity. "I'm a Spence fan," he said on the podcast. "I always wanted to fight the best guys out there." He recognized Spence's unification but insisted his own resume: two-division undisputed titles, a perfect 40-0 record, and knockouts in all 8 welterweight bouts, sets a higher benchmark. Critics, however, see flaws in his reasoning. Crawford sidestepped welterweight dangers like Jaron Ennis and Virgil Ortiz Jr., and his top wins, Gamboa, Brook, Spence, don't definitively eclipse Spence's. The boxing community remains divided. Supporters of Spence cite his 6-year reign, his readiness to face the best, and his recovery from setbacks as Hall of Fame credentials. Experts note that inductees like Oscar de la Hoya and Roberto Duran didn't require undisputed status or multi-division supremacy. Crawford's rout of Spence doesn't negate what preceded it, they argue. Conversely, Crawford's side maintains that exceptional greatness demands more than Spence has offered. Spence's next moves could tip the scales. Since losing to Crawford, he's been sidelined by injuries and a collapsed deal to fight Sebastian Fundora. A proposed matchup with Virgil Ortiz Jr., envisioned by De La Hoya as a Texas spectacle, could reignite his career. "Imagine if we can put together an Errol Spence versus Virgil fight in Dallas Stadium," De La Hoya mused. "But at 35, with a worn body and a wish to retire, I want to get out while I still can." His window may be closing. Crawford faces his own crossroads. A rematch with Spence remains possible, though Spence would need a warm-up win to justify it. Crawford could climb to 154 pounds or take on rising talents like Ennis. His legacy is ironclad, but his Spence comments have stirred dissent, even from Stevenson. Who's correct? Stevenson's belief that Spence's career, tarnished only by Crawford's brilliance, deserves Hall recognition, strikes a chord with many. Crawford's elevated standard, born from his own remarkable feats, is a bar few can match. The reality likely sits between them. Spence's achievements align with Hall standards by most metrics, but Crawford's singular success looms large. Time and the Hall of Fame electorate will decide. Until then, the dispute endures, a tribute to two fighters who've etched unforgettable chapters in boxing saga.